Welcome. If you are choosing to view this, thank you very much. So we're going to talk about complex fractions here. So it's just combining everything we did with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing those rationals, those fractions. So here we go. We need to simplify. So I like to kind of break it down and just look at the numerator and then just look at the denominator and then try to combine it all together. So if you notice in our numerator in example A, we have x over 6 minus x over 3. So you know that we need to factor first and find a common denominator. Well, our denominators are just numbers, so there's no need to factor. And easy for us, our common denominator is going to be 6. So all we're going to have to do to get that common denominator of 6 is multiply that right-hand fraction by 2 over 2. So that's going to give us an x over 6 minus a 2x over 6, which is really just negative x over 6. So this is all we have in our numerator now. And then that's being divided by x over 5 minus 7 over 10. Again, we're trying to find that common denominator. Lucky for us, that common denominator is just 10. So that means we're just going to have to multiply this left-hand fraction by 2 over 2. And that's going to be giving us 2x over 10 minus 7 over 10. And then that just simplifies to 2x minus 7 over 10. So now we have a negative x over 6 being divided by a 2x minus 7 over 10. Well, you know that's the same thing as that negative x over 6 being multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 10 over 2x minus 7. When we're multiplying fractions, we can just multiply straight across, top times top, bottom times bottom. You can also simplify as much as you can in the beginning. So I see something with that 10 and that 6 right here and right here. They're both divisible by 2. So this is going to go back to a 3. This is going to go back to a 5. And so now we can have just a negative 5x over 3 times 2x minus 7. And that would be our final answer. And just to make sure that we're including those domain restrictions, our denominator cannot be 0. And those domain restrictions would be x. And there you go. And then for our second problem, notice in our numerator, the denominators of those fractions are x plus h and x. You can't just add the h to the other denominator to make them the same denominator. You have to multiply to get a common denominator. So that means this left-hand fraction needs to be multiplied by x over x, and this right-hand side needs to be multiplied by x plus h over x plus h. Rewriting that, I would have x over x times x plus h minus x plus h over x times x plus h. That's all my numerator, still over that denominator of h. Combining my like terms in my numerator, remember all of this is one term. I'm going to have to distribute that negative. So it's really minusing x and minusing h. Well, x minus x is nothing. It's 0. It cancels out. So that's just going to leave me with a negative h over x times x plus h. Still over that h. Well, instead of dividing by h, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal is going to be 1 over h. And so now we can see, oh, well, those h's are just going to cancel out, leaving me with negative 1 over x times x plus h. That's going to be our final answer because nothing simplifies. And our restrictions is going to be x cannot be 0 and x cannot and h cannot be 0 as well.